I put out some fragrances this week that I actually haven't worn in quite some time, so stay tuned. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel where I upload weekly fragrance content. So just go ahead, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future videos, and also be sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. But that's right, today we are doing my weekly series rotation videos, and if you aren't familiar with this series, I basically just tell you what fragrance I wear on each day, how many sprays, the kind of weather outside, and of course if that fragrance happened to get any compliments or not. So let's not waste any time and get right into Sunday. So for Sunday, it was in the mid 80s, but a very nice sunny day outside. And for some reason, I was just kind of in the mood for a fig-based fragrance, and I haven't reached for this one in a long time. And I've only worn it a few times as well, and it's fantastic. And it's coming from the very old school classic house called Houbigant, and this is one of the newest one, Figuier Noir. So if you do love that fruity, very leafy green fig, then you absolutely have to check this one out, especially if you are more of like a classy guy, you like to dress up in maybe a suit, a dress shirt, something like that. This is the perfect fragrance for that as well. Very formal smelling. And it's crazy too because the house of Houbigant was the first house to come out with a Figuier kind of barbershop fragrance called, I think, Figuier Royale, which unfortunately I've never actually tried, but I want to get a bottle of that very, very soon because if you know me, I love my barbershop Figuier fragrances, some of my favorite genre, and that is, of course, the OG and the one that started that entire category. But on that day, I only did around 3 sprays on Sunday because I don't remember doing much besides kind of just chilling and relaxing at home. No compliments, of course, I wasn't really around many people. But for a fig-based fragrance, this is outstanding, guys. Heading into Monday now, it was in the high 80s, very hot outside, but it was kind of gloomy and cloudy. And I actually didn't know what to wear on Monday. I was kind of standing here trying to decide on a fragrance, which is like one of the hardest choices of my day, which I honestly can't complain if that's the case. But I decided to go with Old Trustworthy, which I haven't put out in a few months. And of course, it's Armav's Club de Nuit Intense Man. This is the original EDT. I, of course, also own the Eau de Parfum, which is actually a more well-balanced, kind of refined, smoother take on Club de Nuit Intense. But this one does project a little bit more than the EDP, and you honestly cannot go wrong, guys. Like I said, this is Old Trustworthy. Any occasion, any situation, any season, you can always pull this one out and it will work for you. But on that day, I did do 8 sprays, a little bit heavier on the trigger with Club de Nuit Intense Man, and I have gotten in trouble before when wearing this one. I remember at one time I did around 14 sprays of this stuff. I was at work like a few years ago and I got called into HR and they're like, man, you're wearing too much fragrance. And I thought that was hilarious. I was like, well, this isn't a fragrance-free zone, so they honestly couldn't do much, but I definitely knew they hated me, especially on that day, which is hilarious, and I could not care any less. But anyways, I did not get any compliments with Club de Nuit Intense Man. However, usually, most of the time, people do lose their mind over this scent profile, but to be honest with you, it's more like guys kind of going crazy about it than women, just because of how smoky, kind of masculine, and almost like alpha-ish this fragrance gives off, so the guys always want to know what you're wearing. But no compliments, but yeah, like I said, if you don't know what to wear and you just want kind of like a staple, just everyday kind of fragrance for the cheap, you cannot go wrong with Club de Nuit Intense Man. On Tuesday, it was in the higher 70s, kind of cloudy outside. It was kind of a colder day on that day. And I actually pulled this out because I remember very much liking it the first time I worn it. I've only worn it like once. And it is Orienteca's exclusive Oud Blue. Now, if you are familiar with the house of Orienteca, they are a Middle Eastern house. I think they do like inspired by fragrances, things like that, but this one is very similar to Parfums de Marly's Layton. But I have to be honest with you guys, I honestly think I might prefer this over Layton, which is crazy. I'm a big fan of Layton. As you see, I have a bottle right there. But the way the vanilla is and the dry down of this just is mouth-watering, guys. I'm almost addicted to this fragrance every time I wear it. On that day, I did do 6 sprays of Orienteca exclusive Oud Blue. And I don't know why they called this collection exclusive Oud because none of them actually have Oud. I honestly hate when companies do that. It just doesn't make any sense for them to do it actually. That is one gripe with Orienteca, is with that naming in the collection, because I do have all 4 of them from the exclusive Oud line. And this is probably my favorite. Now on that day, I actually did get a compliment from a coworker. She was like, wow, what are you wearing because it smells so fruity? And she loved it. Of course, I told her what it was. And then I also told her you're probably smelling the apple in it because this is apple heavy. You do get that very watery, fruity green apple in the opening especially, and then it dries down to, like I said, that creamy, slightly spicy vanilla. And how I describe Layton, it almost smells like an apple pie. And it's no different with this fragrance. So if you love Layton and you want maybe even better performance and you love vanilla, you cannot go wrong with exclusive Oud Blue, believe me. All right, headed into Wednesday now, also in the high 70s and cloudy like the day prior. Nothing really changed outside with the weather, but on that day, I actually did pull out a clone of a fragrance that I've been meaning to get, and I actually went to go pick it up in a recent vlog, but they were out of stock. You guys probably know what fragrance I'm talking about if you caught that vlog, and it's coming from the guys over at Sensual Obsession. Shout out to Kevin, and this is actually Have a Good Night, which is cloning Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Grand Soir, which is one of the best ambers in the world, guys. So I was in the mood for that fragrance, and of course, I still do not have a bottle. I ended up picking up Gentle Fluidity Silver instead of Grand Soir at the time, but I'm definitely getting a bottle for the fall. However, this is almost identical to Grand Soir. You get that very sophisticated, smooth amber in here with absolutely fantastic performance, which is kind of what you expect with the house of Sensual Obsessions. They are all extrait de parfums, which means the highest of perfume oils. You can definitely tell how potent and oily that juice is inside. So if you are looking for some clones, especially at the price, these you cannot really beat, to be honest with you. Of course, you have like Duas, Alexandrias, but I think Kevin over there does have some of the best pricing and almost identical to the originals. On that day, I did do 6 sprays of Have a Good Night. No compliments, unfortunately, on that day, but man, it just put me in a very good kind of relaxing mood while wearing this fragrance. Just like that name suggests, have a good night, because that's exactly what you're gonna have if you wear this in the evening. Now for Thursday, it was in the mid 80s, kind of cloudy outside, but it was extremely hot. And on that day, I kind of did a getaway out to a cabin on the lake. And I was in the mood for something like a little bit more tropical. And I remember this one is outstanding the first time I wore it. And it's coming from the house of Sphinx Fragrances. And this is Coconut Daiquiri, guys. Just like that name suggests, you're getting that coconut daiquiri vibe, very tropical, almost like suntan lotion. It's very, very well done. And this is probably my favorite from the Sphinx house. I have to tell you that. And I have around 4 or 5 from them. And this one just blew me away when I first got it in. Definitely also has that slightly boozy nature about it as well. All in all, very well composed with all the notes, and especially that coconut, which a lot of times coconut can go wrong, and this one though is the way I kind of like it to be. It's not too like feminine, which coconut can kind of come across like. Definitely I would say it's unisex. I can see a woman wearing this as well as a man like myself. Now, on that day though, I did do 8 sprays of Coconut Daiquiri, and honestly, I was kind of surprised on how well this stuff performed. It is of course an extrait de parfum, so you kind of expect it to perform maybe above average in longevity. But the projection even was outstanding. I was getting whiffs of this like hours upon hours into the day. It just would not leave me. Like I really didn't even really go nose blind to it either, which is shocking because I go nose blind to the majority of fragrances. Of course, that's like a self-defense mechanism to block out the noise in your nose and kind of detect bad things that maybe you shouldn't be smelling or being around. But this one did not really go nose blind to it, so I enjoyed it for the majority of the day, which was a treat. Yeah, for Thursday, I wore, I think, one of the newest from Sphinx, Coconut Daiquiri. Highly recommend checking out if you're looking for a tropical fragrance. For Friday, it was in the mid 70s, still kind of cloudy outside, and I was still staying at the cabin on the lake. And I did put out a fragrance that I mentioned a little bit earlier in this weekly fragrance rotation, and it is Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Gentle Fluidity Silver. Now I actually took a decant with me because I do have a decant of this from Decant X. Shout out to those guys. If you are looking for decants, use code HUNTER15. You will get 15% off, and they have a huge catalog of niche and designers. But yeah, I did take the decant of this one. And man, this is so versatile, so easygoing, so easy to like, compliment magnet. You really cannot go wrong with this DNA. It does get compared to kind of like Davidoff Cool Water and Green Irish Tweed, which it's slightly similar. It's not identical at all because, to be honest with you, I despise both of those scent profiles. This one though, I really, really enjoy. So that has to tell you something. This is actually a much better version of Cool Water and Green Irish Tweed in my personal opinion. A lot of you guys might disagree or even say this has nothing similar about it to Cool Water or Green Irish Tweed, but it definitely has that greenness to it, juniper berry heavy. But I actually did do 8 sprays of Gentle Fluidity Silver, and for like how kind of airy this fragrance smells, the performance is outstanding as well. Kind of like Baccarat Rouge 540, a very transparent, airy, kind of a lucent fragrance that actually performs phenomenal. Same with this. And I did get a compliment. I was around family and stuff like that, and my mother was like, what fragrance are you wearing? It smells very good. And I told her, And it's funny because my mom is a huge fan of Maison Francis Kurkdjian. She loves Baccarat Rouge 540. That's kind of what she wears. So yeah, she did like this one. And you really, like I said earlier, you cannot go wrong with this fragrance. If you're just looking for one signature scent from at least even Maison Francis Kurkdjian, this is the one I would recommend 10 out of 10 times, maybe 9 out of 10 times, but still phenomenal. Now, wrapping the week off on Saturday, where it was in the low 80s, but it was very hot, very sunny outside. The sun was shining. And I wanted to go with a house that I haven't worn in quite some time, and they are coming out with a brand new collection that got me kind of re-interested in this house. And I remember not liking this fragrance the first time I wore it, so I gave it a second chance, and man, I definitely changed my mind. And it's coming from Mind Games, and this is Checkmate. One of the main ones from the house, I would say, is obviously Checkmate, Blockade, Grandmaster, and maybe Double Attack are my favorites. This one though is a very sparkling, slightly boozy champagne along with rose, with one of the best earthy green patchouli bases I've smelled in a long time. Truly shocked me, guys, and the performance is beast mode, like literally beast mode. You're gonna get easily 12 so hours of longevity with this. Of course, I think the whole line is extrait de parfums. Yes, they are, so you are gonna expect that as well. And like I said, they did come out with 5 from the black collection, 5 from the silver collection or white collection, and they're coming out with a brand new 10. So I'm so excited about that. This is a hidden gem line with some of the best quality when it comes to niche fragrances, to be honest. On that day, I did do 5 sprays of Checkmate. Didn't really get any compliments. Didn't do much besides run some errands, things like that, because I did come home on that day. I will let you know now, this will be one I reach for a lot more after the wearing on Saturday, because it kind of blew my mind. So absolutely check out Mind Games, especially, like I said, the kind of more popular ones, Double Attack, Blockade, Grandmaster, and Checkmate. This one though is definitely climbed the ranks. Maybe I'll do a ranking of all of them, but that's going to do it for my weekly fragrance rotation. As always, leave a like on the video, subscribe below if you haven't already, comment as well the fragrances you guys are wearing throughout the week. You guys always pull out bangers after bangers, and of course, I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.